Okay. I'm the youngest of 5, and sleepwalking and sleep terrors were in my family. Insomnia was in my family, intergenerational chronic trauma, and the sleep is very much a part of that, the sleep, disordered sleep. I'm finding myself becoming a sleep activist with the book out, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how that unfolds. My sleepwalking was docile until my oldest brother first attempted suicide, and he's schizophrenic. And this material here was definitely written from effective memory work at the studio, so I'm going to read this chapter. St Dymphna's Day. My mom took the call late afternoon on May 15th, 1972, the Monday after Mother's Day. How weighty our black rotary phone must have been, the news adding a considerable load. Billy had been serving in the army, stationed in Germany. He'd enlisted after hearing a rumor that it lessened your chances of being sent to Vietnam, and his draft number was coming up anyway. I wasn't home when we got word. After school, I'd gone directly to hang out with my best friend and neighbor, Colleen O'Keefe, who lived across the street. Before I'd left for school, there'd been twinges in my right ear. By the time I returned from Colleen's, it ached. I got chronic ear infections and dreaded the piercing pain that was on its way. The house was deserted except for the sound of weeping coming up from the basement. I opened the door and descended the stairs, nervously. We kids were forever turning off the lights on each other down there and jumping out from behind stacked boxes. The stairs had no backs to them, just splintered planks of wood. I was always afraid I would slip between them into the darkness, a sacrifice to the boogeyman. My mother's back was to me as she ironed under the solitary bare bulb. Her shoulders shook from crying. Dull light bled through the few small windows where the walls met the ceiling. The one above the washer and dryer framed the rusty, overturned wheelbarrow on our backyard lawn. Mom loved to keep our windows sparkling, but those that lined the cellar were wet in dirt. Despite the chill, she wore a muumuu over a man's t-shirt. She was going through the change of life and flushed so hot sometimes she'd have to stop whatever she was doing and sit, grabbing a newspaper for a fan. Her ankles ballooned over her gray hush puppies. My mother was pressing a pair of Billy's pajamas. I'd never seen her iron nightclothes before. She hadn't heard me tiptoe down the stairs and suddenly tipped the iron upright to rest on the board. She placed my brother's pajama top over her shoulder and patted it like you would to soothe a baby, caught her breath between sobs, and sang the lullaby she'd made up for us kids. Once I had a baby, a baby, a baby. Once I had a baby, an old tomato patch. Billy is that baby, that baby, that baby. Billy is that baby, that old tomato patch. Damn it, she said. A quiet apology for her tears that had fallen onto her work. I'm gonna have to wash you again. Mom covered her face with a flannel top and her whole body shook violently. I had no idea what to do. I cleared my throat and she turned, lowering the shirt. Her blue eyes were made even more cadet blue from crying, and I thought, she must have been a beautiful girl. Kathy. She motioned me closer and I tentatively edged toward her. When I stepped within arm's reach, she hugged me to her suddenly, ferociously. What's wrong, Ma? What is it? Then she sort of pushed me away and I stood frozen to the spot where I landed. Pass me those sheets. She threw the tear-stained PJs into the dirty laundry basket on the floor and began pressing sheets with a heavy hand. He was a beautiful child, a head full of golden ringlets. He'd play for hours while I sat and read the papers. Toy soldiers climbing up my shoes for hills. Look at that. She paused to show me the flaming red palm of her ironing hand. I don't have to grip it so hard. Remember to let the iron do its work, Kathy. I should know better. I should have known better. I somehow knew she wasn't talking about her task at hand. Pulling tissues from her pocket, she dabbed her puffed face. I'll never forgive that quack, the way he bruised Billy's perfect head with those damn forceps. What's wrong with Billy? Oh, I forgot. You weren't here. Is he all right? She dropped her head into the crook of her arm and whispered, he's more than a stone's throw from all right, Kathy. My heart dropped to my stomach. I took a giant step back and pressed against the whirring washer as it entered its spin cycle. She looked at me then and spoke calmly. Your brother suffered a nervous breakdown. The Army's going to fly him to the States just as soon as he's able. Then Daddy and Danny and you and I will drive down to the hospital in Pennsylvania to see him.